For almost 50 years,
Me ha ayudado a tomar decisiones más firmes, hacer cambios en mi persona.
La Familia Counseling Center has been a beacon in Sacramento,
Me he sentido más fuerte.
serving its most vulnerable community members by honoring their culture.
Yo no hablo inglés y ellos tratan lo más de siempre ayudarnos.
These clients are part of a pilot program at La Familia called Centro de Apoyo Latino, also known as CAL, which provides mental health services to adults. It started from a simple observation.
While we were working with our children, we noticed that a lot of the parents wanted some support services as well. And so we would provide them information through our SCC program, but it needed to go further.
Rachel Rios is the executive director of La Familia. Once she recognized the need for adult mental health services in the community, the La Familia team set out to make it happen. But their approach would be different.
But traditional mental health basically says clinical theory top down, you take theory to practice. And here it's the exact opposite. You see cultural practices that you can turn into theory to inform how people should be doing this type of work.
Dr. Jesus Hernandez helped write the proposal for the CAL program, which set out to answer the question, to what extent do culturally defined service delivery practices improve access and utilization of mental health services for the Latino population? To find that answer, the CAL program's approach was based on a book written in 1978 by the founders of La Familia called The Enchilada Approach to Reawakening Therapy. It was very progressive for the time.
Back in 1978, people weren't talking about cultural responsivity. Not only that, Latinos weren't talking about mental health.
The book identified 8 culturally based principles to make therapy effective, which La Familia's staff has used in all its programs from the beginning. So it was only natural those principles would be used to create CAL, where culture is at the forefront of treatment. Mark Dandenau, who oversees daily operations at La Familia, explains they used promotoras, or navigators. These community health workers help their clients in a hands-on way.
We'll walk them through the entire process to make sure that they feel comfortable, that they feel confident. There's a real big difference between just handing someone a flyer and saying, you know, here you go, good luck, have any questions, feel free to give us a call, versus to really walk them through the process. It's very time consuming, but I think the end result is that we find that clients will come back for additional services. They will refer their family and friends.
When CAL was created, there were 4 components to the program: outreach, workshops, individual short-term counseling sessions, and a warm handoff to a long-term provider. But when it came time to launch CAL, things didn't go according to plan.
There was this sentiment of anti-immigration that started, and we could not have seen that when we wrote this program, but it was fortunate that we were here because we didn't have to do that outreach to recruit community members. They came to us looking for support. In addition to that, COVID came. And so a lot of our in-person services that we wanted to do, the workshops, the classes, we needed to pivot. But again, really people were still coming through those doors asking for help. And so what we recognized is the 2 pieces that really people wanted was that individual counseling, group counseling, and the navigation.
However, the counseling sessions also had cultural struggles. Community health worker Rosie explains.
When we starting with CAL, the people, they was looking for counseling, but they was very close because we had that taboo. On my culture, on Mexican culture, we don't, when somebody has a mental problems, we say, oh, he is loco. And that is a taboo. And right now, they are more open to speak or talk to about mental health.
The clients who have been a part of CAL now recognize the importance of mental health.
En ella encontré mucha amabilidad, mucha confianza. Encontré muchas cosas.
Si no estuviera la familia aquí, yo habría desaparecido del mundo.
Mario had been a longtime client of La Familia, but he enrolled in CAL because a staff member recognized the signs for help.
Y en esa vez me encontré a Rosy, la saludé y me vio y me dice, y buscaba a mi papá, porque siempre mi papá andaba con su silla de ruedas conmigo. Y me dice, ¿y tu papá? ¿Tu daddy? Le digo, rezarle porque ya se fue. My daddy is died. No, ya empezamos a platicar con Rosy y ya me dijo, ven Mario, necesitamos que platicar. Yo venía con la presión muy alta por la función de mi padre, se me vino los problemas.
A lot of times, people come in, they don't know what they need. We say there's no wrong door. And we have actually had people come into our employment service saying that they need to use the computers. We have a free computer lab. And really, they had their suicide plan. That fortunately, our staff are all trained on applied suicide intervention. That person didn't necessarily know, they just knew they could come to us for help. That's what we call the no wrong door approach.
The CAL program's culturally based approach also utilized a technique called feedback-informed treatment for the short-term counseling sessions, where clients give feedback at the end of every session. Dr. David Nyland, a professor of social work at Sac State, explains why this matters.
The client rates how the session went. They rate the therapist. Did the therapist understand what the client's experiencing? Did the client get to talk about what way they thought was important? Why that's connected to culture is a lot of the clients that we serve at La Familia are from Latina communities, and historically they've been marginalized in mental health. So this measurement allows the therapist to be accountable to the client's own cultural meaning systems. They're coming and giving you that feedback from their own cultural identities and experiences. The measurements are really simple, but by honoring the client's experience and adjusting it to the client, you're also adjusting and honoring their cultural identities.
We're talking about mental health, we're talking about immigration issues, we're talking about school closures, we're talking about, regular health, we're talking about legal stuff, we're talking about just about any social ill winds up here.
After 5 years of doing this work, which involved collecting data from the nearly 400 CAL clients and receiving assessments from La Familia staff, Dr. Hernandez wrote a report about the effectiveness of Centro de Apoyo Latino. The results were impressive.
One of the key findings here is that we saw that there was a 100% retention. You came in the program, these people stayed. 100%. So when you have the ability to keep someone's attention through a series of therapeutic processes, there's a good chance you're going to see some positive results.
Some of the other positive results included clients were 9 times more likely to report improved ability to manage work, school activities than before treatment. Over 800 requests for services were received from CAL clients. From those requests, approximately 70% focused in 3 categories: legal and law enforcement, social welfare, and health services. 80% of clients indicated a high degree of well-being was achieved. In fact, when it comes to client improvement, La Familia is better than the national average.
The data show that his clients in that program changed close to 70% better than the average treated sample. And the reason for that, I think the researchers that use feedback-informed treatment, the reason of the outcome is much better is because the therapist is really accountable to their clients. They're formally checking in, they're getting a sense of how they're doing, where most clinicians, which it's a sad truth, but the reality is most clinicians don't check in.
Another result from the study, Latino clients are ready to seek mental health assistance.
You will see that the clients that have graduated through this, they pull people in the program. There's no advertising here. You just pull people right into the program, right? And so now you see how it's reinforcing itself. And that's when mental health becomes community mental health. And this is something you're not going to see at a county or city level because they're not programmed to do that.
The CAL program has also led to new services at La Familia.
When you ask community members what they need, they will tell you. And we were surprised that we had some of the men say, we want a group on domestic violence for just the men. We have about 4 men in a DV group right now that is unheard of, that Latino men want to talk about DV.
The effectiveness of the CAL program and putting culture first is getting noticed.
One of our partner agencies that we were doing the longer term referrals to thought they would be able to serve our community by having translated services. After a couple of sessions, they realized They really wanted a bilingual therapist too. They were more able to engage with that community, and that person was able to stay as part of their treatment plan.
And to hear the clients talk about La Familia reinforces the importance of culturally based mental health care.
Estoy muy agradecida porque gracias a esa terapia que he obtenido, he tenido pues grandes cambios en mi persona. Estoy presente. Y pues estoy agradecida con la familia porque la familia lo dice, el nombre lo dice, La Familia.